York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to a Tuesday morning show here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, 98.9 FM, 1350 WOYK, and Mark McKenzie here this morning. And before we tell you who our next guest is, I got to tell you, the most impressive thing, when Mark and I were let go from our previous place of employment, which we will not talk about right here, but we have great feelings about it. We had a lot of good memories there. But we get out there and, we're hunting around for a gig, hunting around for a new job. What am I going to do? And Mark would say the same thing. And so I was talking to Daryl Henry, who's a general manager here of WOYK, and I said, Daryl, do you know of anything that's around? He said, well, maybe we could do some baseball games again this year. I said, because that's where we started. Daryl and I actually did baseball games for our other station there. We first started the first 3 years. Now they've been done in OYK for forever. And so then he tells me later on about a phone call he has with the guy who's really in charge here, the president of the York Revolution, Eric Menzer. And I find out, Mark, and I don't think I ever told Mark this, that Eric was visiting, I believe, the Galapagos Islands, if memory serves me correctly. And that he heard about our firing in the Galapagos Islands. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to know how important our show was? They heard about it in the Galapagos Islands that we had gotten let go. And Eric said, geez, did you ask him? Maybe we could get him over there. That's what I heard. Now, I may be embellishing that part a little bit. But anyway, with that, we welcome Eric Menzer.
It was actually, I sent Daryl a Facebook message. Gary, because that's where I saw the news. That I sent Daryl a Facebook message that said, "Talk to Gary. Let's see what we can do."
I've been using that story ever since because I thought it would really get us some good cachet that we are really that important.
You and the iguanas. Iguanas were everywhere, and I thought of you guys.
So people were listening to us at the Galapagos Islands, Mark. That's what happened here. We might be stretched that a little further than this. Anyway, with that, we welcome in this morning President of the York Revolution, Eric Menzer. Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I am terrific. And what a thrill it is to see you here in the WOYK studios on our station. It's a real blessing for us after all of these years listening to you as York's only real local morning show. So great to have you.
Well, it's great to be here. We really enjoy it in our spacious studios here and everything that we're doing. We're kidding because we have a small, but we love it. It's homey. We love it. We're having a great time here. But thank you to you. And again, in all seriousness, now that. Eric was willing to sit down and listen. We presented him with an idea. And Eric, I'll tell you what, you haven't been interviewed till you've been interviewed by Eric Menzer because I'll tell you, this guy has thought it all through ahead of time. And he also allows you to give some ideas and then mulls them over. And I got an inner look at how his mind works a bit. Eric's been around York for a long, long time in a lot of different capacities, still is, in addition to being president of the Revolution. But, we talk about York here, and York's only local talk show, but Eric, you've been involved here for a long time. You've never left. You've been involved in so many things here. What is it about this place that makes it kind of special?
Yeah, so 38 years now and counting that my wife Kendall and I have been in York. And we've had opportunities to leave and have chosen not to do so. And so I've thought about that and about what it is about this York community. And certainly physically, I live here in downtown York. In addition to working here, I've been involved in any number of things downtown. But what it really comes down to is people. I was thinking about this. So York is famous for its work ethic. Right. And it is absolutely true that I've never seen a group of people that work harder than a bunch of Yorkers. But what it really is to me is the no nonsense. Am I allowed to say no BS on my own radio station?
That. Yes, you can.
It's this. We read a lot about Silicon Valley tech billionaires these days and all of this kind of stuff. And, I've spent 38 years working with business owners and leaders and hardworking people in York. And there's just this no nonsense, no pretense, down to earth. You could be walking by the richest guy in York on the street and you would never know it. The company owners in York are not driving Maseratis and flying around flaunting their private jets. It's just
we do here, but other than that,
other than your private.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just there's just this wonderful, down to earth, no nonsense, lack of pretense among the people in York. One of the things I love about what we do here at the York Revolution, and I tell our advertisers, our sponsors this all the time, on any given night, there's going to be a 6-month-old baby and a 98-year-old in our ballpark.
Yeah.
And there's going to be your average working person. There's going to be your disabled folks who are on disability. And there's going to be the owner of one of the biggest companies in York. And they're going to be in the same place. They're going to be dressed the same way. They're going to be cheering for their hometown team. They're going to be laughing at the kids in the fruit race. And it's a level playing field. And so to me, a lot of what we have this saying about wanting to be the most welcoming place in York. And, we hear a lot about DEI these days. And I tell people all the time, being the most welcoming place in York has nothing to do with that.
Right.
It has to do with everyone feeling like they belong here and everyone feeling like this is their hometown team. And that really is what we strive to do here, is to provide that atmosphere.
As you mentioned that, though, I just thought about it. We get out in front of DEI before it became DEI. We have diversity, we've got equity, we've got inclusion. All right here at the stadium, every night people get together. The
That's
diversity there, it's all different because it's different.
That's right.
You got equity,
Right.
people have the same opportunity to see something, take part in it.
Fair price.
And the inclusion, you welcome everybody to come out here and be included in the whole crowd.
Yeah, so that's that. I mean, we've been doing that. We've been saying that we want to be the most welcoming place in York for the 15 years that I've been here, and so that really, to me, is the beauty of what we do. And it's getting together. That's why, I personally love the game of baseball. But I tell people all the time, we're not in the baseball business. We're in the hospitality and family entertainment business. Right. We're in the community business. Now, I will say, being together with my fellow employees and our fans, when we got a walk-off Atlantic League championship last year and got to celebrate that together, that's great. But even that is about more than the game of baseball, because it's really about celebrating your town, right? And the fact that we were 15-3 against the evil empire from across the river last year didn't hurt either. Some pride in that. But the game is fun, but it's about a lot more than the baseball game.
Well, it's about experience.
Yeah.
One thing about minor league baseball, which to me has become a big on the map over the last 15, 20 years probably, has been the idea you're not just coming here for a game, you're coming here for experience. You've got a merry-go-round out in the outfield. Right. We had here at Christmas time, we had a little, what do you call it? The Ferris wheel out front.
The Ferris wheel out front,
you got an indoor snow place. You've got all these different things going on. You look around, and it's like a buffet when you walk in here visually, and you get a chance then to also meet your neighbors. And the point you made is so important, Eric, that it's a unity place. It's a place where this patchwork quilt called York County of all these different, townships and boroughs and all that has one place they can come and kind of get together and have a conversation on a given night. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's also interesting. We are here in downtown, and I love downtown York, but I love all of York County. One of the great things about where I live is I can get on my bike on the rail trail, and in 10 minutes, I can be in the most beautiful rural countryside. I love that too. And if you look at we track where our fans come from, obviously. It's part of our marketing strategy. And I'll tell you that one of our strongest markets is Spring Grove and Hanover, right? So this old thing about how people from Hanover won't come to York, they'll come to York for Revolution games, Red Lion, Dallastown, Dover, Manchester, Emmonsville, Shrewsbury, all over. And that's another thing that makes me really happy, is that geographically, we are bringing people from all over York County, not only from all walks of life, but from all over York County to come together here.
When I look at the York Revolution, a lot of people, I remember all the arguments when we were starting to put the stadium together, and getting all the various 12 million from the state, 12 million from here, all this different kind of stuff. And then it eventually came together. And I still remember, and you and I were chatting about this one day, I remember sitting across the street here working for my old station in our mobile studio on the day the Revolution opened.
June 15th, 2007.
Thank you. And watching macadam being spread out here that was going to be walked on later that night, watching people walking in with furniture and stuff. A couple of the deck things were not quite done. They had wood railings on them, and then others that were done. But thinking when I walked in that night, wow. And I did the first game, what a cool thing this is. It's really turned into something more, as you said, than a baseball stadium when you think about the rooms that are used up here for various things and all that. Talk a little bit about that aspect of it too.
So it's interesting. I mean, most people, many of the people listening know that I was involved in this from the start.
Yes.
First for the city, then as a community volunteer. So I've been a proponent of this for a long time. I remember very well when lots of people thought it was going to flop. They thought it shouldn't happen in the first place, and then they thought it was going to flop. I'll get to your question in a minute, but I will tell you that when we have a great night here, when it's a beautiful evening and there's 5,000 people, I look around and the team is playing well and all this. I do think to myself, remind me who thought this was a bad idea, right? There were people who thought it was a bad idea. There were people who didn't think that we'd be going into our 18th season, which is hard to believe. But you are right that at the time that this was being developed, those of us involved promised that this would be more than a baseball stadium. And I think we've delivered on that. We delivered on it in a big way. You mentioned the Ferris wheel, 36 nights of a Christmas holiday light display here new this year. But yeah, we have 150 events that happen in this ballpark every year. We got a cool new one. I've been involved in local sports for a long time, Gary. The WellSpan Crushing Cancer High School Baseball Classic coming this year.
Wow.
To WellSpan Park the last weekend in April. We're going to have 8 high school baseball teams in here as a fundraiser for the WellSpan Cancer Patient Help Fund. And then we're going to cap that off with a Penn State York baseball game.
Wow.
So just this kind of stuff, the opportunity, there's nothing better than seeing high school athletes playing baseball on our fields. This is the best field. This is the best baseball experience that most of those players will ever have. You know, they're not going on to D1 schools for the most part playing baseball. And so this is the capstone of their high school baseball career. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring all the captains back to do the check presentation to the WellSpan Cancer Patient Help Fund on June 1st at our Cancer Survivor Game. And so, you know, the ability to do that kind of stuff, people ask me, why do I love my job? And I do. That's the kind of stuff, right? Being able to work with people in the community, high school baseball coaches, to raise money for cancer patients. I mean, how does it get any better than that?
Ladies and gentlemen, a place to unite right here at WellSpan Park, a place to unite around the revolution, but a place that offers so much more in the long run when you think about entertainment, when you think about conversation, getting to know your neighbors, and all the things that are involved with that. That's what this is all about.
About community in the true sense of the word.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's what we want. And a place for, you know, like we always preach about here, conversation on York's only local talk show right here at WellSpan Park, all part of WOYK, the station of the Revs. And again, thank you to Eric Menzer today, and thank you for listening to us in the Galapagos Islands. Most importantly, Eric, because that's really got this whole thing started. We really appreciate the partnership.
Yeah. Hey, do I have time for one more plug?
Go ahead.
All right. So your listeners can help us out, Gary, with something. We are still looking for the last couple host families who'd love to have a professional baseball player spend the summer with them. And there's a lot of great benefits to doing that, being part of the Revolution family. So if any of your listeners are interested in that, go on the York Revolution website, check out the host player section. You can apply to be a host, or host a player section. You can apply to be a host family right there. Love to have a couple more participants.
You've heard about having visitation students over the years. How about visitation players over the summer? There you go. And a chance to do it by going to the York Revolution site. Eric, great talking to you this morning. We'll be doing it along the way.
Yep. Happy to do it. Thanks, Gary.
Eric Menzer, president of the York Revolution, right here this morning on WOYK, the Gary Sutton Show. We'll be talking to him along the way throughout the course of the offseason and the season, all here on WOYK, where it's 8:17.